Now, part 3 is about eating. How to eat, how not to eat, what's good for you and what's not good for you, and what you should be doing with your diet and how you should be eating. So there's a lot of different methods here, okay? A lot of people also talk about what you do, and you can educate yourself with this by going on YouTube and many other videos and see what fasting does. Listen, the old biblical history was like this, okay? In the old days, they used to eat more fruit than anything. Natural organic plant foods, fish, okay? Fish and plant food the most with seeds and molecules. I've gone into all the details about this, especially in part 1, what you really need to conduct with magnesium, iron, and zinc, and your natural organic motor skills, right, to use your natural organic abilities to light up your power and your body cells. Now, for eating, okay, this is what I recommend everybody does that's not sick, okay? The first video was about people being sick and how you can combat with aggressive behavior towards whatever stage cancer you might have, heart attacks, heart disease, lung diseases, and how aggressive you can attack with the certain tools. The more aggression you put into this, the more successful you be. And by thinking instinctively is the most powerful tool. To think outside the mind with your sixth sense in the most positive fields. Through the Win-Up Breathing program, the guys, Carl Shaz, and I go into all the information about these things. I've also recommended that you listen to Wim Hof on a video that I put up just a few days ago, where you can listen to a 42-minute explanation about this biologically and what it does to you in your biological genes. And also your natural, the natural chemicals and molecules and minerals and vitamins that you create. And I'll go into a lot of details throughout my videos about this, but what this video is about is something important. Now look, this is what I recommend, okay? What you do with it, it's up to you, but the closer you get to these details, it's how to be most aggressive towards whatever condition you are, or keeping yourself in your maximum primal state. Okay, so it depends on how much you love yourself and how much you really care about yourself. It comes down to these tools. If you can't love yourself correctly, don't teach anyone else about love. Because when you lack it yourself, right, you can't teach other people what love's all about when you don't know how to love yourself. That's the first thing you need to understand about life. If you think you're so important about loving people and talk about the tools of loving people, and you don't teach with the right tools, and you don't use the same tools yourself, you don't have the experience, wisdom, and knowledge to know what you're talking about. So you certainly should be educating people on how to think in their primal state with real love. Not with the tools you use that are so inverted in this world today, and the decisions you make and what you consume and what you entertain yourself with. Right? Because the most loving, compassionate person in the world uses the righteous tools in every single decision he makes. And you can't do that unless you think instinctively 99% of the time. When you think psychologically 95% of the time, that's impossible for you to do that. Not until you're in your primal state. With the great experience, wisdom, and knowledge that's coded in your DNA in such a way that you repair your genes, the immune system, and you can create the miracles that Jesus can and more. Then you're in your primal state to teach what the tools are. There's a handful of people, and only a handful of people left in the world right now today, that can repair their genes, their immune system. Right, with a 27 times more powerful immune system than any other person in the world. And they create more miracles in hospital than anyone else in the world does and react 7 times faster without any condition they go into hospital with. Some people can roll out of hospital in 1 day, where other people fight for their life for the next 2 weeks. And that's a majority. So there's a lot of variations between certain people's DNA. Everyone says we're all the same. No, we're not. We're not the same unless we consume the same things and do exactly the same thing. Biologically and instinctively. And that stands to basic common sense if you've got any. So when people teach that they're all the same with light power and all these new belief systems all over the world, they don't even use the tools they're supposed to use whatsoever. You can see that by the decisions they make and what they educate with and what they justify everything with when they teach people about love and compassion, light and power and energy. Fifth dimensional thinking and downwards is the fifth sense, the 5 senses. That's sophisticated knowledge with a high IQ. To fall into bubble in your own comfort zone and believe in your own truth. Living outside the mind is with the sixth sense, from the sixth dimension upwards, where the highest frequencies are. Right? Where the outside influence in your reality becomes the most positive power right, from another dimension and another parallel world that's more powerful. But light, power, and deceiving and demonic is also in the fifth dimension downwards. It's called the negative frequency with a high IQ, with an outside invasion. An alien invasion that becomes a frequency in your mind that is ultimately the void that controls you and controls your mind that's ultimately designed for human extinction. It has a personality, but no moral values whatsoever when you think too much. That's what you're attached to. When you think outside the mind, you're attached to 8 frequencies, right? They call them vibrations and frequencies, but that's belittling it. It's coding your DNA to use those tools organically with your natural organic motor skills, with loyalty, honor, respect, moral, inspiration, encouragement. They are the 8 tools of what we call righteousness. When you use them perfectly correct in your primal state, that's when you're at your maximum capacity with your 6th sense. That's when you can alter your DNA and genes and everything like that. So this is what I recommend, and how stable you stay to this is entirely up to you. How much you love yourself. I gave you all the molecules and vitamins and things that you should take in part 1. Bananas, eat 2 bananas a day. It's a brain food, very powerful for a lot of different things, to think instinctively. That's what this is all about. Eat an orange today, but not the ones that you normally eat. Try and get one, right, with nutritional value that's 10 times more powerful than ones you can buy. Right? That means pray to your own food. It starts right there, right? With the most positive feels. Give your food love, and it'll give you love back. Because every single thing has water in it with a personality. When you can understand that, you can understand how important these tools are. Processed food is the most negative. When it's processed so much, so is water processed as well. Anything that's processed has more molecules, right, with preservatives in it. Okay, more unnatural synthetic products. That makes everything more negative. So it hasn't much life in it, no matter what you do. You can pray to it all you like, it won't do much. Right? You can give it all the love you want and it won't do much because of that reason. There's not much in there that conducts in positive fields. So the more fresh the food is, the more organic it is, without any preservatives in it, the more chance you have of those molecules working with you and not in corruption, collusion with negative fields. Now, that's something that's important to understand because no one in the world is teaching you none of these things. So the right fruit is always good with the seeds in it. Most fruits, right? Apples don't do shit for you. You might like it, but it doesn't do shit. Same with pears, right? That's the important part. Blueberries, fantastic, right? Blueberries are always good, okay? And a lot of black seeds are as well. You know, also the black seeds, it's very good for you too. What you have to understand is something else very important. When you eat, right? A lot of people say that oatmeal is bad for you. It's not true. It's good for your heart. It's good for your muscle. Okay, it also has the molecules in there to lose weight. That also helps with cancer, believe it or not. Okay, sugar. Never use white sugar. Throw that shit in the bin. If you're going to use sugar, use raw sugar, preferably honey or just organic sugar. Okay, preferably, right? Try and get off all sugars, get away from sweets, lollies, and all that crap. Okay, now I know it's difficult in the way that we've been conditioned with chips and lollies and cakes and all that stuff, but get away from all of it. Make sure you read your products before you consume it. Most things has unnatural synthetic products in it and chemicals you shouldn't have. And that's a fact, right? It's all set up a marketing strategy and they don't care. They know what causes cancer, they know what causes the problems, but they still sell the same products. And then they say you're a burden to society with hospitals and everything like that, but they still consistently feed the same marketing strategy at the same time. They cause the problems and cause the solution, right? And it's all part of a marketing strategy, the whole 9 yards, right? That's what's happening all over the world. Okay, Prama controls everything with every single thing in food industries. That's why everything that's registered with FDA is always registered with the food industry at the same time. Like the experiment, messenger, self-explanatory, and electronic magnetic device. Okay, that works with your body cells. You know that? To change the things that works in your body cells, your B cells and T cells, because you can't conduct anymore. Okay, that's why our natural primal state is 27 times more powerful, right, than anything used in the experiments. Okay, you know what I'm talking about, the jabs. Any jab from the day you come into this world, from 45 years ago. You have an immune system 27 times more powerful than any of these jabs that's implemented in our life. The problem is people do need them because their DNA is collapsing with 7,000 defective genes. And no one has an immune system like that in the whole Western civilization. That's why they need these products to conduct with. So nearly every single one of these jabs and everything in happy pills has an electronic magnetic device registered and patented by every food industry and every single FDA company, right? And every single one of these marketing strategies for these things. Because we can't conduct. And it's a conducting agency that's a drug delivery system, which is graphene oxide. And I'll go into a lot of details about that. Eating the right fuel is where you get the right molecules from, the right magnesiums in this. That's why broccoli and the greens are very important to you, right? For those reasons, right? Very important reason that you get the right molecules, organically and naturally the most. And supplements are okay, but don't just live on them. Okay, but we're so low on our magnesium, iron, zinc, and these products that we conduct with, that we're not being told what the truth is. Because they don't want you to know, because then they can keep you in the marketing strategy and keep you coming to the hospital and keep you feeding up the pharma system and also be in a reincarnation trap where you never discover who you are, why you're here, and what the meaning of life is at the same time. But you're going to break free from that through these processes. I'm going to break you free from that because this is the resurrection of humanity, to go back to the primal state. That's why these tools are so important to you, to go back to the primal state, outside the post-human stage and become human again with our natural organic motor skills and the abilities that we used to have 5,000 years ago. That's why this process is very important to you, that you educate yourself and dedicate yourself this to go back to your primal state. And it's a long process. It doesn't take just overnight and more information and more thinking. It's getting out of that mindset to think critically all the time and to think outside the mind with your natural organic motor skills. So consuming the things you consume, fast food is all rubbish. Nearly 95% of all restaurant food is fast food processed, right? It's not really organic, right? And it doesn't come without all the pesticides and all the effects in it from all the synthetic products. Nearly every restaurant that you go to and buy food from comes from the same fast food chains, just better quality. But it's not organic. It all has processes in it that causes all the problems that we have in our body cells, again, corruption, corrosion, collusion, because it's pollution. And pollution is what's causing every single thing in our body cells to go into corruption, corrosion, collusion with negative fields, because everything we put in there is negative and not positive. And that's what's important. Scientific evolutional theories, right? And all the synthetic products is negative tools. There's no life in it. There's no positivity in all the decisions that we make and where we've come down this road to where we are today through everything with greed, power, temptation, money, and material things that controls every aspect of our life. Modern technology with modern gadgets with images that has frequencies that we're attached to the most, and it's the outside influence that has a profound effect in our reality. That's the negative fields. Those are the facts, and the facts you've got to wake up to. We're controlled by a system with multiple chains wrapped around us that we depend on so much, and we're not free. We're in a slavery system, and it's all into psycho programs on reverse psychology to keep us there. Right? And then keep us in such a state that we're two-faced and fight with ourselves every day. And we suffer stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia, and can't cope in life and take drugs to numb ourselves. And it's happening to every person in the world to one degree or another. Every person. Go to any audience interview and say, listen, how many out there suffering depression and taking drugs or have an addiction? And you see that everybody puts their hands up in any crowd you go to. Right? When a person stands on stage and puts his hand up, you'd be amazed when hands start coming up, everybody's hands come up. And you see what the truth is. Very simple. In any crowd in the world. Pick any crowd you want and get on the stage and ask that simple question. You see how many hands put their hands up. Anywhere in the world. You see it with your own two eyes. People have to take drugs to cope in life because they can't cope without drugs. So drugs, it's a true serum where they can cope, where they can see with their third eye and see things more positive and get out of the negative mind state. So it's all in the mind, right? And that's what's happened to the whole world on a massive global scale. And we only suffered like this 2% in 1960. So from 1960 to today declared 54% by 2019 and accelerated 7 times faster, and now backed up with evidence only 3 months ago by the top bowlers in the whole world, right? You can see it in DNA evidence. You can see it in people that go to doctors, right? You can see it in the DNA evidence how many people take drugs and lie about it no matter what they say. No one can run away from this, right? Everybody needs to face it and think outside the mind and do something about this. Fasting for 18 hours and eating for 6 hours is a great idea. So if you're fasting every day for 18 hours, right, into your dietary, and then for 6 hours eat all the things that you consume with the right calories, right? Use the food process that I said, okay? Oatmeal is good, okay? It's very good. Fibre bread, multigrain, don't eat any of the rest. Follow my structure. Eat organic food. Don't eat any processed food. Don't eat lollies. Don't eat chips. Don't eat none of that garbage. Stop eating, drinking Coca-Cola, Fanta, and soft drinks. Worst thing for your DNA. Worst things for your biological genes. Coffee and cheese together alone creates a molecule that's bad for cancer. Not good if you've got cancer or any bad gene defects. To drink coffee and cheese. Right? When you have a combination of these two, that causes damage as well. Anything with wheat in it is a genetic wheat. Causes damage, inflammation throughout your body. Okay? A lot of people have gene defects with their backs, right? And passing, doing number 2s, some with number 1s, because their system's all clogged up. Red meat is the worst. Don't eat red meat. Trust me. Okay? If you are going to eat red meat, make sure it's raw. Not raw, but make sure it's clean and very fresh and no preservatives in it, okay? And make sure you cook it right without frying it, without any charcoal on it. None whatsoever, because it causes cancer as well and problems in your defected genes. Red meat causes most diabetic problems, right? Blood clots, heart attacks, and lumps through the arteries. Clogs up the arteries the most. Causes most heart attack problems and sugar diabetics, right? And all sorts of blood problems. Red meat causes the worst, and they don't tell you that, but it's a fact. It's a proven fact. Right? So I want you to get a grip of that. All pork, you can just about buy pork anywhere in the world and it'll be genetic. Denmark's the biggest pork producer in the world, right? They kill more than 50 million pork a year, and it's all made genetic. All clones and fully grown between 6 and 8 weeks. They have no farming whatsoever, and that's what most people consume in the whole world that buys fast food for pork or sausages. And when you take pork and put it under any microscope, you can see the parasites in every bit of pork in the whole world because it's genetic. And parasites are coming, and pesticides as well. That's already been banned in many places all over the world. Norway just 2 weeks ago had to ban some apples that Bill Gates brought out that he claims is organic and genetic with spray all over it, a certain sort of spray. That's very dangerous for cancer and many extraordinary things. So on Norway mainstream media, it was out on the front page of the paper and also in mainstream that his products with his pesticides are very dangerous. So that's already been on mainstream media in Norway, right? It's also been stopped in other places. Bill Gates is up to no good with a lot of products here, right? And he consistently manipulates the system and holds a marketing strategy with 10 different companies of Garvey. With Garvey, right, at the top of these 10 king officers at Geneva. He's exempt from everything, can't be convicted for nothing, and he consistently does these things. 3 countries have been trying to sue him for previous vaccinations in India and Africa. He can't be taken to court. In the 80s and 90s, they took him into court 5 times for monopolisation and taking out cartels with marketing strategy. Couldn't be convicted for nothing, can never be convicted. He sits in the UN like he owns his own country, can't be convicted for anything. He can create whatever he wants. And he can never be convicted. He's got exemption for everything. Most powerful man in the world without any credentials. Think about that, and I'll make a lot of videos about this. A lot of things are going to happen here, right? And he's going to be exposed with what he does with genetic foods that causes most problems in the whole world. Wheat was the first genetic food they created, right? Over 100 years ago in Australia. And they took out the 2 most important wheats, right, to replace it with a genetic wheat all over the world. That wheat is causing massive problems all over the world. And they're not telling you, right? But it's a known fact, okay? All genetic foods, right, don't have the right light in them when they're grown with hybrids, right? Hybrids are grown with graphene oxide gold, right? And they have a very short lifespan, which means they have no light. It's negative food. And when you grow it negative, with negative fields like this and negative GMO food cutting up chromosomes, right, it all turns out to be bad. And that's what happened in the days of Noah. Everything was genetic. And they also did genetic enhancement on us. That's why a lot of people in this world are negative. They're called the Netherlands, right? And they use all inverted psychology, and they can only think psychologically and mentally and can't think instinctively whatsoever. They've got no sixth sense. It's a proven fact. That's why they make these molecules, right? Because they need them to conduct with. And then they feed them to the rest of us, right? That destroys our genes because they can't create the creations that we can create, that we can recreate. And that's something no one's going to tell you in the whole world. That's why everything's on reverse psychology for empowerment and they control the whole system. Some people can't conduct and can't create those molecules. They can't think instinctively. They can only think psychologically and they run the world. That's atheists. We call them atheists. They've got no belief system, nor have they got any moral base. They've only got a personality. That's why they have to produce all these systems and they believe that we're all the same as them, but we're not. And they're jealous about it. That's why they suppress these things. They also limit us from the power that we have that they don't have. And that's hard to comprehend, but it's a reality of life. We've been set up a marketing strategy through an evolution theory that's self-explanatory, and to come to our conclusion with reasoning, which is also self-explanatory, which is stripped from our biological genes, to think with our natural motor skills in the most positive fields. And that was a marketing strategy in the greatest deception ever created in human history, to strip us from our sixth sense in 1921. That's why we're in post-human stage and no longer human. They deemed our humans to be dangerous and said it's an old ancestry savage tool and it's deadly and dangerous. Our moral instincts is to think outside the mind, right, with the 8 tools of righteousness. They call that deadly and dangerous because that's how they are. They're jealous, they're weak, they're spineless cowards, right, and they hate us because of these reasons, and that's why they're designers like this. On reverse psychology, consume all the things we do, and also set up a marketing strategy for everything to consume too much. Today we consume 7 to 12 times more products and food than what we're supposed to. On a marketing strategy, you don't require all the food that you eat. You just think you do. Whoever told you that? Your most powerful conduction. Take Jesus, he went walk about in the mountains for 40 days and 40 nights without food or water. Went did the same thing across the desert. He also went to Mount Everest, right, without food and water, without any oxygen as well, without any inhibitor. He had the holy breath with him. He knew how to breathe different than what we do. So his gills open up like a fish because you pass through water. And when you open up your gills right, you can breathe in the highest mountains without any oxygen, like he can. And it was also barefooted in a pair of shorts. That's what your primal state is. So when the Aborigines go walkabout, they often go walkabout for days and then without food and water. And they're all spiritual. The most spiritual human beings know the things out of the mind in dream time. Dream and dance, right? Sing and dance. You know, the Sabbath day is all about food and wine, right? Organic wine. Food and organic wine with no preservatives in it. And it's about what? Sing and dance. Sing and dance where you're proactive, like a meth effect. Happy in the most positive fields, sing and dance. They connect with nature, life, and all the things in harmony with. And that's what Jesus taught us. Nobody liked that. Nobody liked that idea. Nobody wanted to be like him. You get that? Because he was instinctive. He was tribal. He said, think outside the mind and go walkabout. And you discover who you are with the outside influence in your reality. Okay? You don't need food, not the way you think. You need molecules, you need vitamins, you need minerals to conduct with. Okay? Do you understand that? That's where your power is. Right? It's not the food you consume, it's the molecules, it's the minerals that you conduct with. Salic salt, or Himalayan salt, has 82% of the minerals that you require out of 92. They don't want you to know that. If you take a pinch of that every day, that a day alone, just that day alone, right? And also the blushwood, which is the very molecule that creates carbendazole for worming and parasites. Those 2 molecules alone will change your DNA beyond your understanding. They don't want you to know that. There are certain products that you can live on forever, right? Just with a handful of food. Nuts is one of the most important things, right? Make sure you get the right proteins and where you get it from. Eggs raw, fish, sardines, okay? Rice biscuits, you can get some of them with up 27% protein. 27% protein. You'd be amazed where you can get protein from. Nuts is a very high protein, right? And you don't need much. You don't need what you think. Multigrain bread, fiber bread, okay? That kind of bread makes a strong heart, a very powerful heart. Never forget that. So don't eat pancakes, it's rubbish. Don't eat cakes, it's rubbish. It's all marketing strategy so you enjoy and you eat what you like instead of eating what you don't like. Because you're in reverse psychology. You're in the wrong mindset. You do everything negative in the way that you think and judge in every decision you make. And that can alter very simple just by following what I say and practicing what I preach, and it begins to change your DNA automatically. The When I Breathe In program, alone with God's cold showers, alone, and listen to what I say, will alter your decisions in a way you'd never understand. Do a 30-day test and you'll look back and you realise that you're changing your lifestyle without even realising it. And the more you go into this, the more aggressive you become about it. The more aggressive you become about it, the more you start to make the righteous decision for your DNA. And when you really get it, you never stop gaining. You never stop gaining. You'll keep on gaining and you'll not stop gaining for a very long time. That's what you need to have faith in. You will consistently gain, and you gain more power and go back to your primal state more and more every day. Once you stick your head through the end of the tunnel, right, the light at the end of the tunnel, you realise you had amnesia, and you look back and realise, wow, you didn't know any better nor does anyone else. Then you realise it's the beginning. And when you realise the beginning, the power comes to you. The power comes to you in ways that you don't understand, because you're starting to create a relationship with the outside influence of your reality, with the 8 frequencies, the 8 tools of righteousness when you live by them. And then you start to understand what the laws of life is to live by equally to govern life, the vineyard rules. You understand how to love one another, being as burdens in the way you created in God's image. And you're in that image. And then you're in the Father's image, and you realize why it's the Father's image. Because it's the 8 tools of righteousness that we live by. It's being in the Father's image, doing the right thing, and loving one another and being on his burdens and help everybody, no matter who they are and where they come from, because you feel sorry for them in a whole different perception you never had before in your life, with 7-fold wisdom and knowledge. And you begin to live with the tree of life. And you disconnect from the tree of knowledge of all things evil that's been complicating your life so much. And you realize it's the beginning. And then the glory of love pulls all over you, the frequencies pull over you, and you feel those frequencies, and you feel the power coming around you, and you feel the atmosphere change around you, and you realize you have this power that spreads like a virus and affects everyone else around you by using those tools alone. To love one another and to bear one another's burdens, that's the liberation. That's when you realize what the meaning of life is. What is the meaning of life? It's pure love, and it's believing, and it's understanding. The rest of the world's full of BS. The only thing that's ever yours is the moral values code in your DNA. And every moment that you create, that you treasure the most, is what you take with you and you hang on to for the rest of your life. And with those tools alone, you realize it's in the beginning, not the end. And that's what the meaning of life is. That you beat the death experience and realize you're not ever going to die. You've now escaped the reincarnation trap, and you're breaking free from amnesia to discover who you are, why you're here, and what the meaning of life is.